Now, in today's video, I'm going to be showing you the #1 attraction killer that all men make. And the reason why men need to see and hear and understand this video is because despite your SMV, your sexual market value, I don't care if on paper you're a textbook 10 out of 10 Chad, if you make these mistakes that I'm about to show you, you're going to be left for pain and you're going to be potentially dumped, heartbroken, or cheated on, which means you have to internalize these things because they're drastically important and most men have no idea how to actually do this. Today's MBT Celeb Spotlight is from Kevin. He goes, Casey, after applying what you've been teaching me, I swear this stuff is witchcraft. To those who have no clue what female dynamic is, remember the girl I told you about on our call? I've got her on a string. Okay, if you want results like that from MBT, masculine behavioral techniques, after this video is done, check out my webinar below. The link is in the description. It's going to totally transform your life. Okay, today we have to discuss the #1 attraction killer when it comes to the women that's in your life. And I'm making this due to the fact that there's far too many men out there right now trying to be high value or chasing high value, right? Thinking that money, muscles, status, and even their game and their seduction is going to get them to that level where all of a sudden they're king shit. Women come into their life and they're just this slick player who's able to keep and seduce any woman that they want. Okay, that is not how it works. You have to understand this at the deepest level, okay? Because this is going deep into a woman's psychology. The #1 attraction killer in all levels, in all ways, shapes, and forms. I don't care how tall you are. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how big your bank balance is. I don't care how many abs you have, whether you got a 2-pack, a 4-pack, a 6-pack, or you're 700 pounds. Doesn't fucking matter. The #1 lowering of attraction, or the #1 attraction killer, is going to be your certainty. A man's certainty level in that woman. Okay, what does this mean? When a woman looks at you, okay, no matter who you are, no matter how big your bank balance is, I don't care. When a woman looks at you and you are certain within her, you give her certainty, okay, that you like her, this right here shows where you stand. Now, the issue with this, the biggest reason why this is not going to end well when you show where you stand, is because this right here reveals your sexual market value, okay? Showing your certainty essentially shows if you can or can't replace her. And this goes deep into a woman's psychology, because what this does is it gives her gauge of your interest. As soon as a woman has gauge of your interest in any way, shape, or form, when she knows that you're probably around an 8, a 9, or a 10 out of 10 interest level in her, this is where she starts to pull back. So here's what you have to understand. When this happens, this is when the games are going to start. In all ways, shapes, and forms. Like I said, I don't care if you're Drake. I don't care if you're Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't care if you're a dude who works at the 7-Eleven and you're fresh out of high school. Doesn't matter. This right here is when the games start. This right here is when the disrespect happens. And this right here is when she does not like you. Like, you have to write this down in a notebook. You have to understand this, because this is so fucking crucial, because right now there's a total wave of men who've watched, you know, tons of TikToks, tons of Instagram reels of every guy saying, be high value, go get rich, go drive a sports car, go do all this shit. And it's not going to work, and here's why. Internal high value. Okay, when a woman senses that a man is internally has high value, has fortitude, okay, doesn't necessarily bend or fold or break or get emotionally attached. See, that's what this is. If you want me to simplify this in easy terms at 3rd grade level, you cannot get emotionally attached to a woman ever. The second that you get emotionally attached in any way, shape, or form, you are going to be left for a different guy who is higher value on the internal, not just the external. This is why I put right here, internal high value in all ways, shapes, and forms is greater than materialistic high value. Okay, materialistic high value only gets you so far, okay? The reason why we're discussing today the internal high value is because this is the fucking guts of the man. Like, this is so deep. Like, this is in a woman's biology. This is so deep. This is her hardwiring of how you make her feel when she looks at you and when she talks to you. This is the guts of the man. Like, the guts, the internal, like who you actually are. There is no amount of Instagram followers. There is no amount of blue check marks. There is no amount of money. There is no amount of abs. There is no amount of charm or charisma that can make up for this right here. This is the #1 attraction killer, which is your certainty. So you might be wondering, well, you're saying, well, Casey, okay, so if I want to attract a girl, how is it that I can even talk to her? How is it that I can even attract her? How is it that I can build sexual chemistry where she wants me without me ending up in this area where I'm so certain of her? Okay, you have to understand the ways you show certainty. Because a woman only wants a man who makes her feel slightly uncertain due to the fact that this no longer reveals his sexual market value. All of a sudden, her hypergamous instincts will tell her that she is dating up and she's going to want to gravitate towards him. You can do this at any age, any height, any income level. What are the ways that you show your certainty? Well, the very first way that you got to understand this on a deep level is through your availability. Your availability and how easy it is for her to book into you or to book into your schedule, regardless of her attraction or regardless of her beauty, is going to dictate if she views you as high value or not. So this right here, the reason why you need to be on your purpose, the reason why you need to be working 60 hours a week, the reason why you need a social life of abundance is because this right here books your availability. Like when you got your availability booked up, you're a hard person to get to. You're a hot commodity. If you're a hot commodity and it's hard for you to get, think about it. Okay, when you got a favorite clothing brand and every single time that clothing brand, okay, launches a new product and they're sold out within 2 hours, you get pissed off because of the availability, right? And what happens with the availability then when that clothing brand launches is they can now charge higher prices the next time around because people want it. So you got to frame yourself in a way, you got to wrap yourself in a package that's high value. The first way is through ensuring that your availability is blocked up. Okay, that's going to dictate how you look at her. How you look at her is equally important because what guys oftentimes think is guys will think, okay, so if I'm not complimenting and I'm not validating, all of a sudden she's not going to know where I stand. This is bullshit. You got to understand this. When you're around a girl who you view as an 8, 9, or 10, you will look at her differently. You will touch her differently. Okay, you will literally want to do things like she will pull different nuances out of you that is going to make you look at her differently. Like when you look at her, you might light up. Okay, this is very, very bad because as soon as she sees that you're lighting up more than she is, once again, reveals your sexual market value, reveals your certainty. Your certainty dictates how well or how unwell you can replace her or how easy it is for her to replace, or excuse me, how easy it is for you to replace her. This now dictates if you're in a scarcity mindset or not. Therefore, what is going to happen is that she'll no longer care about you. Which brings me to point number 3. The third way that you show, okay, your certainty is when she gets your care too easily. So here's what you got to understand, okay? I want you to think about I want you to think about a wide variety or wide array or wide spectrum of women. Girls who are on a scale of 1 to 10, think of it this way. If you have a girl who's a 2 or a 3 to you, and you have a girl who's a 10 to you, think of the ways that you are going to naturally give more care and attention to the girl who's a 10 just by default through how she looks. Okay, this is very bad. The problem with extremely attractive women that majority of men have is the woman gets the man's care and she gets the man's approval far too easy, which means she doesn't have to earn it. If she doesn't have to earn it, she doesn't value it. Okay, and this is going to show up through your long phone calls. This is going to show up through your text messages. This is going to show up through your sub-communication. Every single time she's easily able to get your availability, and I don't care if that's availability in person, I don't care if that's availability over the phone, I don't care if that's availability over Snapchat or over FaceTime or anything that you do, you are now giving attention that is validation in some way, shape, or form. This is why a man who focuses on himself and his own goals at all times is the most attractive thing to a woman. He's hard to get to, which leads me to point number 5. Okay, the biggest ass kicker that most men run into is they don't understand how deep that sub-communication goes. Like that sub-communication, how you look at her, how you talk to her, how your vocal tone is, this right here fucks up most guys quicker than they even realize. So we're going to run down the list and then I'm going to explain this. Things like your eye contact, how you hold it, how you look at her. Things like your text message punctuation. Right? How interested you seem simply over the phone. Not only that, bringing her out in public. If you notice, if you have a woman who you're not as attracted to, okay, and maybe you hang out with her a couple times, it's like you don't have that urge or that desire to really go to your favorite hotspots or your favorite bars, or you don't have that urge or that desire. These are ways that it starts to show up to a woman that reveals your SMV. Things like your response rate and how easy it is for her to get a hold of you. Things like if you're very easy to please. You got to understand this. A guy who's high value, like a true dude who acts like a king, he ain't going to be easy to please. And he's going to need more than a fat ass, and he's going to need more than a smile to make him happy. However, the reason why most women can't find any sort of masculinity is due to the fact that guys don't have their subcommunication dialed in, and they also don't set a standard. Like, you need to set a fucking standard for the woman who's in your life at all times, or she's going to set the standard for you. And when she sets that standard for you, you best believe her ass is going to be out the door due to the fact that she's going to be looking for a man who has a deeper level standard. You can do this at any income level. You can act like this at any level of status. This true internal high value demonstrates your real biological hardwiring and status far more than any of this materialistic bullshit that majority of men are actually facing and that they're chasing. So, things like easy to please. Not only that, if she has high approval from you simply just from existing. Like, she doesn't bring anything to the table. She can show up, right? She can drop off some ass. She can leave, and you're happy as a clam due to the fact that you now got to spend some time with her. This is the shit that's killing your attraction. This is the reason why the women that you actually want, you're not able to maintain or you're not able to keep. This is like, these are the things that majority of men don't even notice that they do. And these are even the things that majority of women don't even notice turns them off. This is where you're going to get the answers from the women, where they say things like, I just am confused if I like him or not. Or this is the bullshit where you're going to hear the shit like, I just don't know if now is good timing. See, she can't even articulate it because it's not one thing that you fucked up. It's 100 million micro nuances that accumulated into a fixed identity that she has of you. This right here is going to kick you in the ass. Once you get that fixed identity, oh boy, it is like pulling teeth to try to change that around. So here's where guys get bitter. Guys get bitter, and I do not want you bitter, and I don't want you bitter for a lot of reasons. The first thing that you got to understand is you cannot hate them. You cannot hate women because it is not their fault. I'm going to show you whose fault it is in a little bit, and I'm going to show you whose fault it is in a little bit because truthfully, it's not even fully your fault, okay? Do not hate women because it's not their fault. They want the strongest cock. They want the strongest dick. They don't want any dick. Right? Because they can go out on the street and they could get dick anywhere. Majority of guys will sleep with a woman if they get the opportunity. She does not want any dick. She wants the strongest dick. However, this isn't done through your muscles, and this isn't done through how you look, and this isn't even done oftentimes through how high of status you have in your social group. This is done through the nuances of who you actually are. So, how do you maintain this? You have to always have the ability to walk away. If you cannot walk away from a woman, regardless of behavior, it reveals your sexual market value, which reveals to her how easy it is for you to replace her. You do not want to look at this as, she does not look at this as, oh, he can go get a different woman. She needs to look at this as, can he get the same caliper or higher caliper level of woman as me? If she tells herself that the answer is no, you're in for a rude awakening because this is what reveals your interest level and why you're not able to walk away. How do you start to maintain this? Well, the first thing is you can never be scared to offend. The second that you're scared to say the wrong thing, the second that you're afraid to say the edgy thing, the second that you're afraid to offend in any way, shape, or form, and you like the second that you're scared of any outcome is the second that you've already lost. So, whose fault is this? Okay? If men have been led astray in this aspect and they don't know how to carry themselves and they oftentimes get bitter and angry at women, it's not the women's fault. It truthfully isn't even your fault. Truthfully, here's what you gotta understand. The media and the propaganda, the things that majority of men listen to when it comes to how music portrays the element of emotionalism or love, how Hollywood and how movies really you get this like idea and element of like, we're gonna buy some Hershey's Kisses and go on a long walk and hold hands, and then we're gonna go on a date and they're gonna be sleigh bells and all this shit. Like, you gotta understand right there, those are the things that are wired deep into your subconscious. Those are the things like how the whole world, especially if, like, for example, I live in America, this is exactly how it is. You got to understand like how deep this goes, where the media and the things that you've seen have fucked your psychology so you don't know how to act and you don't know how to carry yourself. Naturally, since you don't see any real examples or any real role models of truthful masculinity, this is where you start to sit there and go, well, I don't even necessarily know how to act because how everybody else acts is exactly how I'm going to act. Therefore, now I'm going to think that I know what I'm doing, when in actuality, you may be turning the women off without you even realizing it. So, here's what I can tell you. The whole world right now is upside down. Like, the whole world is upside down because most men don't know how to act. If you have access to this information, the cool thing is you can finally stop chasing materialism and materialistic high value. Yes, those things make it easy to attract and get your foot in the door, but in no way, shape, or form can you keep a woman off of this. A woman looks for the deep hardwiring and guts of the man, a warrior. Okay, so with that said, here's what I can tell you. Okay, you need to make the women, a woman wants to fight for your approval. And she's never going to tell you this, but this is 100% the God's honest truth. You know, if any of you saw the Patrick Bet David podcast yesterday, he interviewed Khabib, the fighter. Okay, and Khabib said something very important in that podcast yesterday, and that came out. He said, love makes a man's heart weak. And he looks at Patrick Bet David, he goes, you agree? The reason why he says this is because he is able to see, since he comes from a different culture, he's able to see the emasculation of the modern man. Like love and a man's attachment to a woman is the exact thing that she doesn't want. The second that you cannot walk away from her is the opposite of what she wants and what she actually finds attractive in a man. Because you got to look at it from this standpoint. If this was like old days, evolutionary days, like biological days, hunter-gatherer days, you would be the man who has the strength. You would be the man who has the resources. You are the man where you are building yourself up. She needs you. If she needs you, she wants to in some way, shape, and form pursue you to prove her worth to you so that way she can gain access to you and she can fight for your approval. See, most men don't understand this, but this goes so deep because women only respect uncertainty. Now you see, since women only respect uncertainty and a man who makes them feel uncertain about where he stands with them is the only thing that they're attracted to, why is this wired deep into their psychology? It's wired deep into the human biology, the female psychology, because women want to date up. Women want the strongest man. So she wants to almost feel in some ways or in every way inferior to you. This is how she looks up to you, like you're a beast or you're a king or you're a warrior. If she cannot look up to you, she cannot respect you. The second that you bring yourself down to where personality-wise and subcommunication-wise, you're now her equal, this is the second that she will exit the relationship. This is hypergamy in a nutshell. If you don't understand this, then you're in for a rude awakening because higher value, see, this is why I made this video, is because every single TikTok that I see, every single Instagram post that I see, every single YouTube video is teaching men these traits of leveling up and self-improvement. This doesn't mean anything if you can't exercise the feeling that higher value, or excuse me, this does not mean anything if you cannot make higher value in some way, shape, or form a feeling that she has. She's not going to be able to articulate it. It's not like she's going to be able to use her words and tell you, oh, you know, she's going to say things like, I can't stop thinking about you. Right, I'm uncertain about us. I really hope this goes somewhere. That means that you're demonstrating higher value to a woman, and this is something you have to do. This is not a bank balance. What I'm getting at is you can't like a woman too much. The second that you like a woman too much, this reveals your SMV, this shows your certainty, and this is the #1 attraction killer. You even see this, and like, I've seen this a lot of times too, because I sit there and I scratch my head and I'm like, I looked at Dr. Dre's divorce, and I was like, so this dude was like a street thug. This dude was hustling, selling records. This dude's getting a divorce. Why is this woman leaving? When I see those videos of Steph Curry and his wife looks at him in disgust and disrespect, I'm like, why is she doing that? Like, that's Steph Curry. Like, when you see this stuff in real life, when you actually see how these women behave to men who give certainty and men who give monogamous commitment to them, you're going to start to really realize and open up that what this comes down to is the guts of the man, and this is the ways that you can start to demonstrate and give more uncertainty so you can actually have better fulfilling relationships, and the women that you want in your life will stick. If you like this video, hit the like button. Check out that webinar down below, that MBT presentation. It's going to totally change your life when I show you the 3 keys of MBT: masculine frame, masculine energy, and my #1 hack to generate more options now than ever before. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.